Sarah Burke this week, and I'm sure that it must have struck you. I mean, when you heard about her injury and you heard about it being here, what was your reaction?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was just crazy to me about kind of not knowing, because they don't know for so long about kind of where your brain is and what position it's in, and kind of just never to know with her how bad it was, but knowing it was really bad the whole time. And then for me, it was like they kept giving my parents and my family good news, and things kept getting better. So kind of to not hear that about her was really scary, and kind of just so hard to realize how different every brain injury is.
Yeah, that's really true. I mean, brain injury is a spectrum. It can be as mild as a concussion to life-threatening. I mean, Kevin's was surely a life-threatening injury, but Sarah's injury, and I can't speak a ton about her individual case, but it was a completely and totally different injury, and her. The reason that Sarah died is because she went into cardiac arrest on the slope. And so she did not have blood flow and oxygen to her brain for an extended period of time. And yes, she had blood in her brain from a torn artery, but that was not what her actual problem was. It was the cardiac arrest that was the huge difference between Kevin's and Sarah's injury.
And that's what for me is so crazy. It's all about like where you hit your head. You know, I hit my head right there in the right frontal lobe, right? And do you know where she hit hers?
She really didn't hit her head that hard. It was the torn artery that was the big deal.
You know, after you got hurt, after Kevin was hurt, the first thing that was on the lips of everybody in the media was, this is a dangerous sport. It should be regulated so that accidents like this don't happen. And then this week, you know, that's been a lot of what has been on people's minds. I've seen it on the news, I read it in articles, and a lot of times it's coming from the perspective of people who don't really know anything about the sports, but when something like this happens, immediately people want to make sure, well, are these kids being put in danger? A lot of people might wonder, Kevin, you know, why it is that you even would want to snowboard again. What do you say to the critics who say that, you know, snowboard, you know, superpipe riding has gotten to the point where there needs to be a ceiling so that these things aren't happening?
Yeah, you know, I just can't really agree with that, because unless if the pressure is being put on us and the athletes by other people and the coaches, and we're being made to do this stuff, then I would understand why a limit would need to be put on. But as long as we're doing it and we're pushing ourselves to that level, I feel like it's kind of our choice, and we should be allowed to do what we want. I mean, if they don't like it, then it's too bad for them.
I think sometimes people look and they see, well, you're on TV, you have an opportunity to make money, and so that's why these guys are doing these types of tricks. But sort of explain what it is about snowboarding and its natural progression that these new tricks continue to be invented.
Yeah, you know, I think that's a hard one to explain, because you can't really understand that until you get that feeling of what it feels like to get one of these new tricks, or to kind of get into this zone where you learn these things. And kind of, it's just kind of hard for all these critics to even understand what it's like for us to kind of do this stuff, and we do it because of what it does for us and the feelings that it gives us.
There's actually a scientific basis for this type of behavior. It's well established that there are people who are thrill seekers or risk takers, and they have an extra dopamine receptor in their brain. I personally am more on the risk averse side, but I live with two people who are risk takers. And so I remember asking Pia, Kevin's mom, when this happened, how on earth do you let him do that? And she said, it's just who he is, and if he weren't doing this, he might be out doing drugs, he might be out gambling, and I don't think that people who these are athletes, they train, they make their bodies fit enough so that they can actually do these tricks. They're masters of their fear and doubt, and they have an incredible amount of faith in what their abilities are. Now, I don't think it's any less responsible of them to go out and do these risky things than it is for, you to sit on the couch every day and eat a bag of potato chips and weigh 500 pounds and have diabetes and put yourself at risk for strokes and heart attacks. So I think it's a different type of risk.
The doctor brought up your family, your mom, and your parents have always been incredibly supportive of your career, but what did it mean to you to sort of have them rally behind you the way they did during your recovery? And also speak about, the snowboard community as a whole.
Yeah, it's pretty unexplainable to try and explain to you guys what it's been like and the support I've gotten, because it's just beyond belief. My parents, they were there the whole time. My dad stopped going to his job. He owns a business back in Vermont, and he left that for 3 months and was out there with me at the rehab hospital. I mean, my parents would bring me dinner every single night because, I don't know if you guys have all been to the hospital, but hospital food isn't always that good. And so getting that, and then just kind of having my brother Adam there, who's older than me, come to the therapy classes. It was like 8 hours a day or something that he would come to every therapy class and push me to get me to work harder, and just kind of the support from them has been the biggest part. And then the fans, the whole snowboard community, all my friends have been there behind me, and they've just wanted to see me get better, and kind of that's been such a huge one. And then I've had all these sponsors that have stuck there behind me and totally helped me out in such a huge way. So it's just been kind of crazy how it's all came together, and I just feel so lucky that I've gotten so much love and so much support to get through something like this, because it's a crazy injury and you could never begin to understand it unless you have it happen to you. But it's cool that I got to the place where I'm able to share it and kind of explain to people what it's like, because a lot more brain injuries happen than are known of, and I think it's kind of, we're able to start raising awareness now with all these veterans coming back with brain injuries. And then there was that whole thing last year in football. Football's going on right now, but there was all that going on about football and brain injuries, and just kind of so much stuff has come up now that people are really starting, I feel like, to learn about it more.
And that said, instead of just deciding to heal and go on with his life, Kevin has really made brain injury awareness the primary focal point of his life. He's just formed the Kevin Pearce Traumatic Brain Injury Patient Assistance Program. Did I say that all right?
I think you got that one right.
All right.